Shalom Yashrala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson real quick, dealing with, more of the hypocrisy of America, and really ultimately, like the scriptures say, he basically, roughly paraphrasing, he pretty much laid a snare for his own self that he's caught in. He's caught in his own traps, man. All right, his witchcraft and things like that isn't working no more. These nations are starting to wake up from all this blasphemy, basically, that this so-called white man has been saying out here, man. All right, but now we're gonna look at, like the the actual mindset of this damn demon, man. All right, so sometimes you brothers will hear us speak about certain things like the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, all right, which is basically between Russia and trying to sell oil to Europe, all right, and this is also going into, Russia being brought back into that that superpower state. Before they wasn't exporting any oil, they wasn't exporting weapons, and they wasn't really using their currency to trade anything because it wasn't worth anything. But now, they're being pushed into position, all right, and what's actually pushing them into these dominant positions would be America, all right, because of the fact of America and NATO surrounding Russia. It caused them to perfect their missile defense systems, all right, where you get the S-400, 500, and so forth. All right. Also, with their nuclear capabilities, you got the Satan 1 and Satan 2 missile that they developed, the hypersonic missiles, the nuclear powered cruise missiles. All right. All these things have been developed because of why? The so-called, really the American and NATO aggression surrounding Russia. All right. But also, America's going around putting these sanctions on these nations like what really they want to steal your country and your resources. And if you don't allow them to do that, they put sanctions on your ass, and then they'll go over there and brainwash the people to make the people think that their leader is basically trying to kill them off, right? And then so the people will say they want to overthrow them. You'll see a protest being televised, and then all of a sudden America will put that on the television and go to the UN and say, look, these people need freedom. They need democracy. We got to send the troops in now to liberate these people. But in reality, this all been set up by the so-called white man. So now this ties a little bit into the Venezuela story. All right. Now, if you recall, America's been trying to steal Venezuela for like the last 4 or 5 years now. All right. But basically, you had Nicolas Maduro, who was the elected president over there. All right. But America tried to, like I just said, they tried to brainwash the people to think that the government, first of all, they put sanctions on Venezuela, on their oil. So they couldn't sell their oil to anybody. And the headquarters of their state-run oil, all right, is located in Texas. So this is how it rolls out. If you want to buy oil from Venezuela, you make your transaction, but the money is funneled back through the headquarters in Texas, which they stopped them from taking the money from Texas back to Venezuela. So now this money, like I said, this is like where the actual state of Venezuela gets the majority of their money, their gross domestic product, so that the government can eat and feed the people with, right? Well, if America has these sanctions on them and is freezing their accounts to not letting them get their money, all right, to be able to in turn take care of the civilian population, all right, of course the people ain't gonna have the money to eat with, right? But then America put it on TV as if the leader, Nicolas Maduro, starving them out, but it's really the American sanctions on him, right? Now, a step further. Now, again, they wanted to steal the oil that's over in Venezuela because it's like, I believe, the world's largest deposit of oil actually in Venezuela, all right? Well, you have Saudi Arabia is like the world's biggest exporter, all right? But I believe the world's largest deposit is actually in Venezuela, all right? But, going in a little further on that, like I said, they put the sanctions on the Venezuelan oil, all right, so that they couldn't sell their oil to anybody, all right? They would have, penalties to pay if they did. So all the nations that Venezuela was selling oil to, pretty much they had to stop with that. Now you're going to hear in this here video, basically, that one of those nations that was getting a lot of that oil from over there was America, going into these traps. How the hell are you going to put a sanction on your supplier? You know what I'm saying? Just let me try to bring it down to Jake talk. Like, yo, you got your little dope boy plug, but you didn't call the police on the dope boy, which is your plug, and then now you mad because you can't get your shit, right? This is what this is what America is doing. This is them being caught in their own snares. But not only on that, all right, this is forcing other nations, i.e. Europe and them over there, to want to, especially trying to get off that American titty, going through Saudi Arabia and everything like that, because the difference between Saudi Arabian oil and Russian oil is a lot better, and it's a lot cheaper, and it's a lot closer for them to get, to be able to get it. They don't have to keep going under America to keep, paying them tithes and tribute, But nevertheless, they're going to explain in here how, now this Nord Stream 2 pipeline is basically between like America, like I said, and Europe and stuff like that. So they want to run this here oil over through there in like Germany and stuff. But America got their nose in Russia and Germany's business, telling them they're going to put sanctions on their own allies, all right, which is going to cause the whore to hate, or the beast to hate the whore. All right, so hey, this is all a beautiful witnessing the downfall and the calamities of this so-called white man. But let's watch a little bit of this here video.
Abundantly clear that it does not approve of its Western allies working with Russia, or more specifically, benefiting from Russia's oil supply. The threats made by U.S. officials in Brussels this week have placed Washington in a position where they appear ready to create a massive conflict within the NATO alliance by imposing sanctions on some of their closest allies. But while they...
We'll grab it in the scriptures, but, America's causing what? Like I just said, the beast to hate the whore, all right?
Lecture Germany on how their support for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline will divide Europe and open the gate for Russian manipulation, the U.S. is leaving out one very important fact. Washington itself actually profits from the use of Russian oil, and right now, imports from Moscow are at an all-time high. While the U.S. made headlines for imposing sanctions on a subsidiary of Russia's state-run oil company over alleged ties to Venezuela
and like they just said, like I said, man, this is their own snare, man. You pushing Russia up to the number 3 exporter of oil on the planet Earth, man. Putting more money into your adversaries' pockets for them to sit here and develop these weaponry to take you off the face of the earth, man. All right, your stupid ass.
Last year, it didn't do much more than that, and it was sanctions against Venezuela, along with OPEC cuts that forced the U.S. to look for a new source of oil. That's when Washington started ramping up business with Moscow, making Russia the 3rd largest oil supplier to the U.S. last year. U.S. imports from Russia averaged 538,000 barrels a day in 2020, even topping the 522,000 average from Saudi Arabia. But you
see the pride of his own damn heart, man. This dude is super proud, man. All right, like I said, he put sanctions on Venezuela because they won't allow them to steal their country and their resources because they care about their people and shit over there, right? He put sanctions on Venezuela, but that's who he get. That's his plug. That's where he get oil from, right? But then now he got to sit there and pay higher prices and then go to Russia, but then threatening everybody else, even his allies. If y'all get this Russian oil, it's going to be problems. But I can get the Russian oil from them because I got to go to him and I got to make his pockets fat to make him get more money to build up his military against me because of the fact that I got so much pride that I don't want nobody to get this Venezuelan oil. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we can't sell it, can't nobody get none of it. Even if we got to go all the way across the planet Earth to go get some damn oil, man.
Would never know it from watching the latest talks. So joining me now to discuss are Boom Bust co-hosts Ben Swan and Christy I. Christy, let's start with you. This reporting seems to go against the public posturing of the U.S., which has worked hard to campaign against the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that would deliver natural gas from Russia to Europe, correct?
Yeah, the findings of this report shows that America's increasing reliance is totally at odds with their public energy diplomacy, because for the last 2 years, Washington has been lobbying European countries to abandon Nord Stream 2, fearing that it would essentially give Russia further leverage over U.S. allies in the EU. The Nord Stream 2 would essentially double the capacity of an existing line in Germany under the Baltic Sea to about 110 billion cubic meters of gas per year, and it would circumvent U.S. ally Ukraine, depriving it of potentially billions of dollars in transit fees and compete with U.S.'s efforts to sell LNG into Europe. So Russian gas accounted for about 45% of Europe's natural gas imports in 2019, and demand is growing. So under the Trump administration, Washington was highly concerned that the inside NATO territory and thereby threaten its member states, making it very dependent on Russian energy going forward.
Now, see, that's the lie there, right? And they're like, oh, look, it's going to threaten our allies. The way it's threatening your allies is because you're such a horrible friend that it's just like, yo, we get a better deal from these guys anyway. It's not a real threat. It's not like the Russians are threatening anybody. It's like, yo, man, we just do fair business over here, man. All right, you tired of going over to this here bank, and every time you go to this bank, you put $100 in, and when you go back, you only got $25 back, right? You only got $25 left out of $100. Now, you got the bank next door. When you go and you put $100 in, you get your $100 back. It ain't that the second bank is trying to steal your customers. It's just you're doing bad business, forcing your customers to go elsewhere, man. All right, and then you talking shit about them. It's like, oh, well, this is threatening the people and everything like that. The bank that's stealing your money is over here accusing the other bank of threatening the reliability and the safety of your information and everything like that. Like, oh, they're very risky over there. Like, how are they risky? When I put $100 in your bank and only get $25 back, but when I put $100 in their bank, I get my $100 back, bro. But it's part of his deception.
Congress went as far as to authorize the use of sanctions against the company, but now under the new Biden administration, they're taking a little bit of a more delicate approach. The administration wants to impede the project, as Biden called it a bad deal for Europe, but at the same time also wants to strengthen. There isn't a lot of clarity of what exactly they're going to do, but the project is essentially more than 90% complete already. So trying to impede it now, optics, now that it's come to light.
And just think about that, making the beast hate the whore. They got 90% of this here oil pipeline complete. You know what I'm saying? All the money, the infrastructure, the time that they put into all these things, man, just for America to put sanctions on them, man. All right, these nations are going to start looking at it like, you know what, it might actually be cheaper and more beneficial for us to just get rid of America and we can continue on with what we got going on, man. All right.
The U.S.'s energy independence is completely false. It makes the U.S. seem entirely hypocritical. So it's rather dumb to tell others not to be dependent on Russian energy when the U.S. is constantly importing.
Yeah, and
that hypocriticalness of America, man. Telling everybody else that they can't get that oil from over there and putting sanctions on them, but then y'all the only ones over there. Y'all trying to get the oil over there because you put sanctions on another country where you was getting oil from, man. This is who we got over top of us, man. The basis of men, man. This nigga's retarded, man.
Is the perfect way to describe it, especially when we're talking about the fact that there hasn't been a lot of reporting on this or a lot of talk about what the U.S. is actually doing while they're literally telling their allies that they could be facing sanctions as a result. Now, Ben.
And this is why we call them the devil, because in their media, all right, that witchcraft, they be like, oh no, Russia's the threat, Russia's the bad guy, and they're doing this and they're doing that. They're always trying to undermine us and take down our companies and everything like that. But no, it's America and their policies, man. Their sanctions. They the one who sanctioned Russia. They sanctioned Venezuela. They're the ones causing. If it wasn't for America over there surrounding Russia, man, there would be no threat to to Europe over there, man. All right, if there was no sanctions on the oil and things like that, Russia wouldn't even. There would be no you have supply and demand. There would be no need for Russia to get into that business, man. All right, it's just like, yo, man, well, everybody on the block is selling hamburgers. Like, I don't need to open up another hamburger spot at this point in time, man. All right, but because America then shut down all the hamburger spots on the block, like, well, it's very rewarding or valuable for me now to open up a hamburger spot because, the government came and shut down all the other ones real quick. So I'll be the only one over here with it now, But this is what America's doing.
And some of this dependence on Russian oil goes back to U.S. sanctions against Venezuela. Is that right? I mean, are they just looking to kind of quietly fill that gap?
Yeah, that's a lot of it. Before I get into all those details, though, I just have to say, you said hypocrisy is a word for it, and the way the U.S. is acting about this Nord Stream 2 pipeline, there are other words, too. Insane, crazy, foolish, and how about this one? Nunya, as in it's Nunya business. It wants to sell its oil to Germany, and if Germany wants to import oil from Russia, why does the United States have anything to do with that conversation at all? The idea that you have two independent sovereign
man, always worrying about somebody else's business. You got two sovereign nations, Russia and Germany, trying to do business together, but America got to go stick their nose in there. Like, yo, you don't own either one of these countries, man. You don't got no reach in either one of these countries. Why the hell is you over here in a business, man?
That have worked out a deal in order to supply oil and natural gas from one nation to another. And they are independently building a pipeline. And the response to that by that's crazy. Now, part of the reason that the U.S. is so dependent on Russian oil is because of another set of sanctions against Venezuela. So, over the last few years of the Trump administration, there were very serious sanctions put against the nation of Venezuela. The Biden administration has not made any move to change that. But part of those sanctions is to not allow Venezuela to sell its crude oil to other nations, which the United States was one of those nations. U.S. refineries were one of the biggest purchasers of that Venezuelan crude. We don't purchase that anymore. So in 2020, in order to make up the shortfall for that, Russia actually rose to the third largest energy and oil supplier to the United States by taking on from that role, filling the gap, if you will, for the fact that there were sanctions against Venezuela. So again, it goes back to this concept of the insanity of this. So you're depriving Venezuela of being able to sell its crude oil. You're not buying it yourselves because of sanctions. So instead you buy it from Russia while threatening sanctions against other countries that want to buy it from Russia. The whole thing, it just reeks of Washington, D.C. and everything that happens there, right? Completely backwards, hypocritical. And it works against the interests not only of its own people, but against the interests of people everywhere. And it makes no sense.
Hey, man, the nations are mad, man. The nations want this nigga out of power, man. All right, this is who we got, man. This is who's over top of us. There's a precept I was gonna grab. We'll come back to this. I'll grab this real quick. Job 18 and verse 7, it says, the steps of his strength shall be straightened. His own counsel shall cast him down. So, going to his own counsel, his own plans, like we were just listening on the video. Okay, well, we trying to steal Venezuelan oil, but they don't want us to steal their oil. They trying to call us out for having a coup d'etat over there and overthrowing their government with our spies and shit like that, right? They didn't call us out over these things, so we're going to put sanctions on them so they can't sell their oil. All right, well, who you get a lot of your oil from Venezuela, right? Venezuela sell 45% of their oil over to America, man. All right, now, if you don't buy the oil from these motherfuckers, like, where are you going to get the oil from? All right, oh, now, you got to go over to Russia. Now, wait a minute, I thought you didn't want Russia selling your allies any oil or anything like that, man. So, and how do I say, threaten the stability of that relationship, telling them they can't get the oil from Russia, but you going to go behind their back and go get the oil from them? Come on, man, what kind of hypocrisy is that, man? But it says, the strength of his steps shall be straightened, his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, he walketh upon a snare. And, going into that it says, for he is cast into a net by his own feet, he walketh upon a snare. Because why? Like I said, man, the moves that America's making is only strengthening and building Russia up, man. Like I said beforehand, Russia wouldn't be sitting here developing all these missile defense systems and hypersonic missiles and nuclear-powered cruise missiles and these big-ass thermonuclear missiles if it wasn't for America and NATO surrounding Russia when there is no real threat over there, man. All right? You wouldn't be turning Russia into the number 3 oil supplier on the earth if it wasn't for you putting sanctions on Venezuela and stopping, your allies from selling oil or buying oil from Venezuela, man. All right? So, look, man, your own counsel and your own snares that you're setting for everybody else, you the ones you falling into these things, man. All right. Verse 9, the gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and the trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. The strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle. These moves here, he's going to go out like a madman, all right? But all these moves that he's making is pretty much drawing him closer and closer to World War III, man. Just like how the scriptures say, just how it's prophesied in the scriptures that, look, he's going to go, like right now, I remember when I first started waking up to this here truth, hearing about Russia and World War III, which that's like the easiest one to understand, Ezekiel 38. But at that point in time, it didn't look like Russia wasn't in no type of position to fight no type of war with nobody. All right, they didn't have no military, like their military strength was like outdated and everything. All right, their economics was outdated. They was like a big ass third world country. Like, well, Russia ain't in no position to go to war with nobody, man. But now, as things are being fast forward, now you see in Russia, is in that position as a dominant. They're also importing or exporting actually military arms and also energy to these other nations, and also doing a global trade with these other nations and everything like that. So now they're actually setting up with strength. All right. But when you look at a lot of things, before, what's their name? Donald Trump got in office, you wouldn't think that America's allies would ever turn on them because they was all like kind of chill. They was all cool together, Europe or the EU and, NATO, they was all cool with America. But see, over time, you're starting to see these things like you have Germany and France. They want to make, they in that F-35 program with NATO. They want to develop their own damn fighter jet side by side because every time all of America's allies that's in NATO They all fly these F-35s, which I believe they're like $1 billion a plane or some shit, which is a very flawed plane, man. All right, this plane is all flawed the fuck out. They'd be better off buying basically the Russian variant or the Su-57 or the Chinese variant. All right, it's pretty much the same plane, but just it actually works. But Germany and France want to develop their own plane. Right now when they buy these F-35s, they're developed by a company called Lockheed Martin, which is an American-based company, man. All right, so every time one of those planes sell, American companies benefit from that, man. But Germany and France want to develop their own plane so they can start selling planes to whoever they want to sell them to, and their countries benefit. But guess what? America won't allow them to do those things, man. So now they're looking at America like, what the hell? Germany and other parts of Europe want to get this here natural gas from Russia because it's cheaper and it's closer and it's a better quality oil than trying to get it from America, man. All right, but what? They're putting sanctions on them, man. After they've already spent the money trying to build the infrastructure to these deals as a sovereign nation, like, yo, me and this person finna do a business together, but then you getting mad because of what? It's like, wait, I got my house, and I contracted me a guy to come and cut my grass, but my neighbor that's down the block, around the block, six streets down, he got a problem with who the fuck I done got to cut my grass. Like, bro, why you even worried about who I got to cut my grass? Why don't you worry about what you got going on over there on your block, man? Let me worry about what I got going on my block, man. All right, but this is how America's getting down, which is all these things is going to lead him, like I said, to going into World War III alone, man, where his allies are like, we ain't like this nigga no way, man. It's better off for us to, if we get rid of America, we can still get oil, weapons, and everything else from Russia. We ain't got to worry about, dealing with America, man. But if America wins this here World War III and we stick to their side, we're not going to benefit from it. Look what happened in the whole Middle East conflict, man. Did any of those nations benefit anything from it? If anything, they're the ones that lost the most soldiers over there, man. America lost the least amount of soldiers in that whole conflict versus the soldiers from those other nations over there, man. And then none of those other nations got none of the resources, none of the benefits from stealing any, like the opium from Afghanistan, the oil from Iraq. They didn't get none of those things from over there, man. All right, only America got to benefit from those, man. And then what did they do with the opium? They turned that shit into synthetic heroin and put it out on their populations, and all they Edomite kids is all hooked on heroin and shit, man. You see, this is how base this nigga is that's over top of us, man. All right, he's getting caught in his own tricks and his own snares, man. All right. But let me go from there to book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51:7, it says, Babylon had been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken it for wine, therefore the nations are mad. And so, this, you have to rewind in time about, when America was in these other NATO, and basically what would be NATO and the EU's ears, telling them, and we know it's the elites that's higher up than that, but nevertheless, oh, well, this is going to be a good plan if, to stop this Russian aggression, or if Russia comes against, or if any nation come against any of you nations, we'll all band together. So we'll, maintain our victory. This will stop wars from happening. People wouldn't think of going to war if they see this big military power and things like that, man. But they don't realize the nation started buying it, oh, this is a good deal for us. This is, beneficial for us and everything like that. But now all these other nations are starting to wake up, man. Oh, well, we should be buying this American oil from, like, through the American allies, Saudi Arabia and everything. Russia's actually a threat. Russia's actually a problem. They're actually the bad guys. But now these other nations are waking up like, no, wait a minute. We starting to see that it's not really Russia that's a problem. Y'all the one screwing us over on the gas, man. Y'all the one screwing us over on the military equipment, man. Y'all the one screwing us over on everything, man. You put it in the media that, Russia's the problem. But in reality, y'all the ones that's over here dealing with it, man. You telling us if we deal with Russia, you're going to put sanctions on us. But you the one over here dealing with Russia when getting the oil. How come you can get the oil? Sanctions on Venezuela and shit, man. And now, even these other nations, like we're watching in the video, they starting to wake up like, look, this is insane. Who does this shit, man? You a goddamn crackhead, dope fiend, right? You need your fix. But then you go and call the police on your plug, man. How the hell? Like, yeah, I'm about to go pick up my little crack rock and shit, but on the way over there, I'm going to call the police and send the police over there before I get there, and you having your withdrawals and shit. Like, that don't make no kind of sense, man. No, don't make no kind of sense. But, hey, this the nigga we got, that's running Babylon. Babylon the Great, man. All right? How they say the great whore, the beauty of the kingdoms. This is the most base men that there is, man. All right? Oh, but like it says here, it says, wait. Where Where's that at? Well, I'll read it again. Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her for wine, therefore the nations are mad. And right now, you know, the nations are starting to wake up to all those things, man. They're sobering up. All right. Now let me go into this next precept in Isaiah 14 and verse 16. Like I was just reading about how they had drunk that wine. They was drunk, you know, but now they're starting to sober up. They're starting to wake up, man. All right. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All right. So now, again, these nations are waking up from that drunken stupor. They're sobering up and they're looking around like, wait a minute. Hold up. You the one got all this in conflict. You the one that's got us, you know, it's like you got that, you know, it's, you know, a circle of friends or whatever. And, you know, everybody's cool. Everybody's on par with everybody. Everybody get along. But then you got this one friend that's in the whole circle. Spreading person B ear about person C, you know, so-and-so trying to sleep with your woman and everything like that. You know, so-and-so was trying to rob you, man. I seen him picking up your stuff. Now you got this person looking at that person like, hey, bro, I heard you was hollering at my old lady or whatever. Now you got them all fighting it with each other, and come to find out, they all reading, you know, they all finding out the truth about everything, reading all the text messages. Like, wait a minute, none of these things was actually said. It was actually you the whole time that was spreading all these lies. You're the one that has everybody that's over here looking at each other all sideways, and you're the one that's causing the stir up and the disturbance and the disruption amongst all these friends over here, man. You're the real problem, man. Now they're all banding together like, yo, we never had problems with one another. It was actually this person that was inciting all these things the whole time, man. All right. Verse 18, all the kings of the nations, even all of them lie in glory, everyone in his own house. And now, hey, this is now why these nations, you starting to see like America's allies starting to leave America, leave by their side. They're trying to find a way out. You know, you have things like the Brexit, like, yo, wait a minute, this ain't a beneficial deal for us, man. This is actually hurting us more than helping us, man. So now they're trying to break away and trying to make their own way. They're trying to make their own deal. They're trying to become independent from America, man. All right. This is Habakkuk 2, starting in verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresses by wine, which we just read about the nations drinking of this here Babylon juice, man. All right, which is going into what? His philosophies and his bullshit that he be lying to the people about. Oh, sign this here treaty, sign this here accord, and it's going to benefit all of us. You know, we're going to all win. It's not just one of us is going to be sitting up on top. We don't need a soul superpower, you know, or one person that's reigning over everybody. We can all reign together as kings, man. We can all sit together on top and enjoy all the benefits of the plunder. But what's really been going on the whole time, man? America's the only one that's been able to benefit from, you know, having everybody join unto him. All right, America's the only one that's actually getting anything from these other countries, where all the other countries are sacrificing and having casualties and how do you say, spending and losing things, while America's the only one that's benefiting. So it says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Like going into the Middle East, trying to steal those nations and get the resources from over there, man. All right, because this is what they do. They, you know, you seen it after 2001, man. They went over there and bombed all the oil infrastructure in Afghanistan or Iraq, right? Then they went over there with Halliburton and KBR and rebuilt all the infrastructure. But in rebuilding all of it, they was like, you know what? Since we rebuilt it, we have to man all of these things, you know. So i.e. they're in control of all the oil infrastructure over there, man. All right, same thing with Venezuela, man. All right, he needs to keep it at home. It's always in somebody else's nation, always in somebody else's business, always in somebody else's policies and the things that they got going on. Just like we were reading about how you call them, Germany and France, or Germany and Russia. Germany want to sit here and buy this natural gas from Russia, but America got their nose into their business, saying, nah, you can't buy from them. Y'all two can't do business together. You know, Germany and France, y'all can't build a plane together, man. None of our allies can buy oil from Venezuela, and none of our allies can buy oil from Russia. But guess who's buying oil from Russia, man? All right, that would be America, man. The one person that's telling you that they can't, do business with these people is the only people that's your business, man. You need to keep it at home, man. You trying to dictate how all these other nations are going to be ruling and running themselves when you can't even run and control your own damn nation, man. We're looking at the moves that you're making, and all your moves is only really coming back to harm you, man. Again, like I said, man, you a goddamn crack fiend. You need your fix, and you done called your dope dealer up, and then you on your way to go get your shit. But before you get there, you call the police to go raid your dope man's spot, man. That shit don't make no sense. But hey, man, this is really, you know, that's a perfect analogy, because this is the crackhead shit crackheads would do, man. All right. It says, Yea, also because he transgressed by one, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire is hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And the way that and the reason that he gathering all these people as co-kings, like, you know, the idea that he sells, but for him to take the head rule over all these other nations and gather all their resources up under him. All right, like when you go into Revelation 17, going into the whore that rideth upon the beast. See, she's the one that's steering the horse wherever she wants to go. You know, yeah, the rider is going to feed the horse a little bit and give him a little bit of water, but ultimately, you know, the distance that the rider is getting off the horse, the rider is getting benefiting way more. You know, you might feed the horse a little bit food, a little grass, and a little bit of water, but you got the whole well, you got the whole field to eat from, man. All right, and this is how America is treating their allies, man. All right, verse 6 says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." And this is what we were listening to in that article about how these nations are calling America out, how hypocritical America is, man. Like, look at this old bum ass nigga, man. Look what kind of shit you doing over here, man. Keep your ass at home. Get out of everybody else's business, man. Like, bro, look at your debt, bro. You causing yourself more debt by putting sanctions on your own plugs, man. Like, yo, this is where you get your gas from. How you shut down your own supplier, man? Now you got to go get it from your enemy, and then when you get it from your enemy, you actually making your enemy richer so he can buy more or build more weapons to come and destroy your ass with, man. All right? Verse 6, "Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against against thy soul." So look, man, all your moves that you've been making and all this wickedness you've been doing on the earth, man, is all coming back to bite you in the ass, man. All these things that you think you're gonna subdue the other nations with is all traps that you being caught in, man. All right. Going into Obadiah 1:7, it says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. Eat thy bread, have laid a wound under thee, and there's none understanding in him." So, like, you got Turkey with the S-400, you know, that's an American ally in NATO, all right, but because of the situations that you're putting them in, all right, because you don't want to call out a group that's a terrorist to them, and you want to arm those guys over there, all right, now they like, look, bro, wait, why the hell we want to be a friend to you when you arming our enemies, and now our enemies is coming over here attacking us, man? What kind of shit is that? All right. And that's causing, you know, Turkey to go seek Russia for weaponry to defend their nation with, all right, which is contrary to the F-35 program, which, you know, they had those planes over there, which is making America put sanctions on Turkey, and Turkey putting sanctions on America. Then they have to back up off of it because, look, they about to lose their allies, man, and a global position for fighting war in the Middle East. All right, but then you also have nations like I said, Germany and France. They want to have a joint German-Franco bond to create their own fighter jet, but America's putting a stop to that, man. All right, you got Germany trying to buy oil, and the rest of Europe trying to buy oil from Russia, but America's putting sanctions on them on that as well too, man. All right, America put sanctions on Venezuela, but then it's really fucking up America, man. All right, so it says all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, so they're allies. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. So they're going to wind up having the upper hand. All right. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. So the ones that you were benefiting and taking care of, you know, they found a different way to undermine you and cut you out the picture. All right. We'll close out here real quick. Revelation 17 and 16. All right. It says, the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, all right, these shall hate the whore and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So when you're going into this here situation, all right, America's allies are going to be the ones that's going to sit there in the midst of World War III, going to turn their backs on America, wind up shooting off those missiles on America, and wind up destroying the land, man. All right, and you see the attitudes being cooked up right now. You know, you see America pushing, and it's not that these other nations just, you know, decided to turn their back on America, but ultimately it's America that's driving their own allies to basically to lash out and to strike against America, man. It's their own council that's in their own doctrines and their own philosophies is becoming a snare unto their own selves, man. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.